Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining this, which is the Wellbeing and Resilience panel. And if you are here today, it's because you've heard about us from one place or another through the WLA Coachathon, which is on behalf of the Microloan Foundation. So my name is Geeta Sidhu-Robb. I am going to be chairing with a big amount of levity this very deep topic. And I am part of I chair the Women's Development Board in Microloan. And so I have come to this from that place. I grew up in Malawi, so I know exactly what it is that the women that we help go through, and that's why I'm part of this organization. And I absolutely love it. So I cannot thank you enough for joining the three of us today. I wanted to let you know that so far that the Coachathon has 139 coaches that signed up. Over 400 coaching sessions have been booked, which is phenomenal. And we have raised over £10,000 so far today, which is Yay. Just fantastic. And
that's amazing.
And what does that mean, actually? So the impact that has is that over 400 women are going to have access to loans that they need to help a business. Generally speaking, we allow for, it's an average of around 4 children per woman. So that is 1,600 children that we are helping to get fed, educated, and clothed because of the donations you all have made and because of the contributions all of the coaches have made. And I thank you so, so much. I'm so deeply grateful to you for everything that you have done. I would also like to point out that there is no restrictions on you continuing to give. So please feel free to continue to donate. Go to Microloan, and there is in the chat, you're going to find the link, which Hayden has very kindly posted, which is Microloan Foundation. I can't speak. microloanfoundation.org.uk/donate. So please, please, please feel free. In fact, every time one of us makes a point that touches you, feel free to put a £5 in the kitty for Microloan, because that would, that's kind of quite a good way to do it. I'm making this up as we go, so I hope you appreciate it. So the goal for us today is that we wanted to talk to you about resilience, and because so much of what the women that we support in Microloan show is that they show fortitude and resilience. Coming out of poverty, coming out of despair, coming out of a terrible place requires resilience. And it doesn't mean that you have to be in a place in Malawi or Zambia to need resilience. We need resilience today with the pandemic, with everything that's going on. We are struggling like we have never struggled before. And what is worse is our children are struggling, our spouses are struggling, our everything is really hard. So we thought this topic was really helpful because we wanted to give you inspiration. We wanted to show you how we had done it, how we had coped with scenarios and circumstances where we needed resilience. Because resilience is one of those things that you don't know you have till you need it. And then you sort of find it. So my fantastic guests today are Nadine, Moussa, and Vittoria Zipoli Caiani. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did it brilliantly.
Thank God. I thought Indian names were hard. Then I meet
We've been practicing for a week.
30 seconds. So what I'm going to do today, the way I'm going to structure this event is that I'm going to kind of do body, mind, and spirit resilience. So Nadine is going to do the body part of it for us. Vittoria is going to do the mind part, and I'm going to do the kind of spirit part of it. So Nadine, please, I would love you to start. Nadine is an authorpreneur. She just did that because I can't speak. Authorpreneur, speaker, mentor, coach, social enterprise facilitator, and she promotes transformation, diversity, inclusivity, a growth mindset, mental health, and she has a passion to inspire people. Now, Nadine, it might be fair to say that you didn't know you had a passion to inspire people until life screwed you over, which is the really technical way to say you needed resilience. But that's my version. What happened? Why did you, tell me what happened, tell us what happened to you, and what you, because you live in Egypt, in Giza, and tell us what it was that life showed up for you.
Okay, so thank you so much for having me on this panel. I'm so excited. So when I was 31, I had the first challenge in my life. Basically, my kids were a little bit over 3 and 1, and I was in a dark place. I just had moved from Kenya. I loved it there. I had a lovely life there. I was working part-time. I had a nanny, I had a car, we were doing safaris, and life was beautiful. And we had to move to El Ain. I wasn't very happy to be moving to El Ain because all of a sudden, all of my easy life and all of the privileges and everything that I had was blessed with, basically were kind of like stripped away from me. So I was working all my life until then, so I had to actually resign. So that was the first thing that was really tough on me. I didn't have a nanny, I didn't have a car, I didn't have even a kitchen in the hotel where we were living. So all of a sudden, everything started becoming, you know, I was seeing the glass half empty all the time. And I was having problems with my relationship with my husband, my parents, everybody around me. It was really tough. And even I remember each time I was having a fight with my husband, I was always telling him, do you want something to happen to me so that you appreciate me? So it's like I was calling on, you know, the universe that something needs to happen. And guess what? Something did definitely happen because I called on it, and I take full responsibility of that. I was diagnosed with pneumonia, and the pneumonia later on discovered that it was actually lymphoma. At that time, I wasn't even able to change the pampers of my son. I was so bedridden and so out of health. It was really, really tough. That was the first year round. So I was like, okay, I got cancer. So, and my attitude was, so what? That was literally my approach to it and my reaction. So if other people have other diseases, this too will pass. And I didn't do any changes in my life.
Spoken like a good woman there, right? I'm just going to put my head in the sand and this shit's going to get past me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did not. Because obviously cancer is a disease of mind, you know, like you said, the mind, the body, the soul. So I had to take a step back. Because after around 8 months after treatment of chemo and radio, I got stage 4. It was becoming a lot more advanced. From stage 1, it became stage 4, and it was a different type of cancer. And at that time, I had to leave my family. And that was the toughest thing to do, because in Egypt, my doctor told me that I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. So I had to go to Paris for my treatment. And that was really tough.
Yeah.
Leaving my babies behind and my husband, that was very, very tough. And so I went to Paris and I got the treatment. I stayed there for 6 months. And I said, okay, I have to look at things different. Because the year before, whenever I was going to chemo, I was like, oh no. I was detesting, and I was going, and you know, I was like, it was like a duty, and I was not accepting it. My body was not accepting it. So I said, okay, now I'm going to look at it completely different. Because for me, it was like, I'm away from my family, and my vision was that to get healthy so that I could go back to my family and live in a home that I never lived in actually, and see my kids play in the garden. So that was the vision that I had. I want to get better, and then sit in the garden and just enjoy my sons growing up and playing in the garden. To give you an idea of how much I had, you know, at peace I was when I was going into the treatment. So I told you that the first year was very agitated. The first night in the hospital, the hospital gave me a really huge room, a hospital room, because I was staying in around 3 nights and 4 days before the treatment. And it was a beautiful room, and I could see the rooftops of Paris, and I even had a bicycle. Not that I had the energy to get on the bicycle and do anything.
You could look at it. So
but it was there. It was an option. You know, it's good to have it. Just feel like, you know, it was beautiful. Of course, that was only the first night, or the first time that I had the treatment was the only time I had that bedroom, or the hospital room. So that night, I had a dream. You will not believe the dream that I had. I usually at the time, we were having financial difficulties, so I really couldn't afford doing mani-pedi. It wasn't really in the routine. So I was actually dreaming that I had 2 nurses in my hospital bed. One was doing me a manicure, and the other one was doing me a pedicure. And it was far away from the chemo. And when I woke up the second day and I remembered the dream, I was like, oh my God, how is that possible? But that just tells you how much my subconscious was, you know, at peace and was accepting the treatment and whatever it is, because I had that vision to get back to my kids and to see them grow up. So, and then obviously all of a sudden I started looking into, you know, the glass is not half empty, actually it's half full. And you can pour it, and you can constantly pour it, even if it becomes empty.
It's constantly refilling.
There is an abundance, yeah.
Do you think that the fact that you had to leave your family actually played into this? Because if you had been thinking, I have to go home, you would have been still in the mindset of, I have to deal with my home life all the time. What have I not done? Do you think the fact that you had to go away was part of that?
Absolutely, because all of a sudden I was, okay, this is time for Nadine to recharge. You know,
yes.
Basically, I went out of completely all of my roles, whether be it as a wife, a daughter, a mother, sister, employee, what have you. It was just a complete, okay, this time for Nadine. Just focus on Nadine and getting Nadine better in all aspects of life. And this challenge, and this, you will truly made me a better person. So I don't regret that it ever happened to me. And I do believe that God gives us each challenges that we are capable of handling. He doesn't, and each one has a different capability. So at the time when I got the second time diagnosis, I was talking to my friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, so what's up?" So she told me, "Oh, I got divorced," and I was telling, "Oh, I got the cancer back," and that was everything, And then I realized that at the time, God gave her what she could handle, and God gave me what I can handle, because I cannot handle a divorce as Nadine. The strength, the muscles that I have, I could handle the cancer, but I could not handle. So each one of us has the power to get over any challenge, and there's always a silver lining to every challenge.
So you think that the challenges are made, and I have to agree with you, I'm just clarifying. You think that the challenges that each of us meet are challenges that we meet based on who we are and what we've come into the world with?
Absolutely. And I don't like to talk about them as problems, but they are challenges. Because each one, there's always the other side of it. There's always the other side of the coin. There's always an opportunity. Whenever one door closes, another one does open. It's just up to us to see that the door is open, not just be fixated on the door that closed, because we tend to be fixated on that.
So what happened to you then? So you did the treatment, you got your manicure and your pedicure.
But in my dream. So I basically changed my lifestyle. I really, I do believe that, like you said, it's a disease of the mind, body, and spirit. So I did a routine. So I had basically so much time on my.
Oh, I think Nadine just froze there.
Yeah, and I love what she's saying.
Yeah, exactly. This is
so
you're
much
back.
power coming through.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Am I back? Okay. So what I started off first thing was that I got to know about yoga. Yeah. So yoga was every single day of my treatment. I wish I have the discipline now. I don't. But even when I was hospitalized in bed and I had to stay in bed, I couldn't do anything, I Googled yoga in bed and I did yoga in bed. So even if maybe out of all the days in the hospital, I had maybe 2 or 3 days I wasn't able to do my yoga, but otherwise every single day in the morning I wake up, I do my prayers, I read some of my Quran verses, and then I do my yoga, then I have my breakfast, and then I read, I watch funny series. Very important to have fun. Laughter, really, I went through all of Friends. Friends was a lifesaver. I just went through it. And you have to find laughter, because laughter is the best medicine. And, and healthy. And what you eat is really, you are what you eat after all. So I really reviewed a lot of the things that I was eating.
What did you choose? I mean, obviously, as I run a food business, it's something that's I'm really interested in. What did you, how did you change your diet?
So I eliminated dairy, and I eliminated meat. I was focusing more on fruits and vegetables, and I stopped all kind of soda and even coffee. Although I love coffee, I stopped coffee. I couldn't stand the taste of coffee. Strange.
Yeah, don't you find that when you go through a transition, there are certain foods you can't eat anymore?
I know, it's so. Now I like it again, but I got into green tea, and it was. And then of course I got introduced to homeopathy, because I felt that I needed, with all of the chemicals that I'm getting, I needed an alternative. And since then I've been actually on homeopathy. I'm taking homeopathy, and I'm trying as much as possible to reduce on medicine, because I do believe my body got so much medicine that it doesn't really.
How long ago did that happen?
Around 12 years ago.
And you've not there's been no other, what do you call it?
Remission. I'm in full remission, alhamdulillah. Thanks to
That's
God.
so fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you define as resilience?
I would define resilience as patience, having patience.
Interesting.
I would define resilience as having peace with yourself. You have to have peace with yourself, and you have to accept and love yourself. Otherwise, you'll not be able to love anybody or love any situation. So it has to be, you know, acceptance, self-love, having peace. And then obviously that would help you in, and the patience has to be there. And you
Why do you define resilience as patience? I really like that. I've not heard that as a definition.
Because in the end, you need to persevere. So for you to persevere, you have to have patience.
Yeah, to be constant.
Yeah? And then of course you have to have a purpose. You have to have, where are you heading? What do you want to reach? So for me at that time, it was, I wanted to go back home, to sit in the beautiful balcony that I have and to see my kids play in the garden. Simple. And that for me is the ultimate satisfaction. What more do we need in life? It's just the simple pleasures. It's just the simple pleasures. You know, we tend to. So obviously this whole experience has helped me in terms of, you know, taking the ability to change diapers, the ability to be able to eat food and to go out and to walk and to even go to the toilet. These are all basic blessings.
Yeah.
And each day, every night, you know, since I did the prayers, and my prayers, I have kept them until today. Every single day, I do a set of prayers in addition to my regular prayers, separate, just thanking God for the blessings I have.
That's phenomenal.
Gratitude.
Yeah,
gratitude.
Huge. Thank you, Nadine. I'm really grateful. We'll come back to you, and we'll hopefully, guys, if you have some questions, we'll do some more questions at the end. That was amazing, Nadine. That I like that you made that sound so simple, but in fact you beat cancer, and you've beat it for 12 years. So you have clearly made really basic total changes in who you are as a person, because the person you are today is not the person that got the cancer that day. Right? That's the really interesting thing. So I love that. That's a really, thank you for sharing. That's amazing. Okay, Vittoria, whose surname I no longer need to say. Tell us, so Vittoria is I love this. Vittoria describes herself as a challenge seeker. So she is always looking for a way to make positive societal contributions, and her mission is to empower people to be catalysts for the change they want to see for themselves and the world, and her heart beats the explorer tempo. I love that. Now, tell us, where did life screw you? And what did you do about it?
Look at that. I can tell you many things. And
I like the endurance part of it.
What I want to encapsulate is I was a victim. I felt myself as if things were happening to me. And I didn't have the capacity to reframe, to change perspective. So, and I had this huge sense of guilt with me all the time. So whatever I was doing, it was carry on. And I was living a life half happy. So doing a lot of things that I loved, but always with this sense of, I'm hurting someone, or I'm not exactly doing my duty fully, or there is something else that I'm missing.
So and, always a bit guilty.
See. Always a bit guilty.
You sure you're not Indian? I'm just checking.
Possibly, I have some roots. And I realized that only when I started to shift my perspective. And I have to say that my husband has been a huge ally in this path that I've walked. And also it helped a lot to move away from my home country, that is Italy, and really starting to embrace life as I wanted, on my own terms. And when I started to do that, I started to realize that I had the freedom to see things as I wanted, and to have the people around me that I was happy to share things with. And what I also found is that, you know what, you have people who actually are happy to share with you, who are you find your tribe.
Yeah.
You find the people that allow you to thrive and to grow into your life without this sense of guilt. And for me, it was wow, a complete surprise. It's possible. It doesn't have to be that way. And something that really changed things a lot is when I found the uttermost tribe in Singapore. I moved to Singapore, and there I started to attend events where I was really passionate. So working for charities or looking in expedition, I've always been in love with traveling and meeting new culture. And there I met this group of people, and they founded this group called the Women on a Mission. And what we do is actually challenging ourselves with extreme expeditions, going in places where women have never been before and have attempted something that has never been done before. So
by a woman or never been done before?
Both. We try to combine both.
It.
And so we try to find the places that are really unusual and do it only with women, for women. So we have a charity that we support that is Women for Women International, and they do a similar work as Microloan. So I'm really happy to be here for Microloan and raise money for them. And then you empower yourself too by doing this. So some of these expeditions have been going in Nepal and trekking for 13 days in a place that is the Tsum Valley, where nobody or hardly anybody has been before, and climbing a pass there at 5,000 meters. We crossed a desert in Iran, and it was the first time that has been done by feet. So we walked 200 kilometers in the desert with sand dunes and all sorts of terrains.
Oh my God, that is insane.
It is, and we have been in Ethiopia, and we have biked along the Danakil Desert. That is the hottest place on earth. And again, something that has never been done before. And so we challenge ourselves first in our thinking. We expand our thinking. What is something that really scares us, but we know we can do it? Because first, we put our attention into it. Second, we are going to be prepared for it. And third, we have a tribe we can count on. We have each other. And it's something that is related to a purpose. And the purpose is raising funds for other women.
So hang on, Vittoria, hang on. Let me just ask you a question here. So you're saying that the purpose here gave you an impetus, which is the raising of this money. But when I hear you speaking here about all these terrifying things like the deserts and walking and I'm just like, I'll just sit quietly in my nice feather bed. But what I want to understand is, how is it that it affected you? Because I understand that these are external things. What was happening internally is what I want to know.
Internally, and I'm shivering when I'm saying that, right? It's internally, first of all, is you are daring to think bigger for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And you are daring to put yourself out there and challenge yourself in something that you're not sure you're going to complete. You're not sure you can do it. And you know that your chances rely on the purpose, on the preparing yourself, and on leaning on each other.
Oh my God, does anybody else have butterflies in their tummy? Because
It does. And I can tell you it's contagious. Every time I talk with other people, I can see your eyes now. They had what I had when I heard this story the first time.
Yeah, wait till I tell you my stuff, but yeah.
And
no, I love it. I just think, I think you're mad, but I love it. So how would you define resilience? And so let's go back to the first time you did this, right? Yeah. You've gone from a nice Italian guilt-ridden woman to a watch out world, I'm coming to get you person.
Because I know there is a place here for me. And there is
How did you know that? Stop. How did you know that?
Because I matter. I'm important as a person, as an individual. We all do. Nobody is insignificant. We wouldn't be here otherwise.
You see, I love this. I teach my clients, when I'm coaching, I'm always teaching my clients, you never have to be deserving because you're born deserving. You have to feel deserving.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is what made you feel that? What was that change?
Well, the other piece of the story is that I started my coaching training in Singapore. And that's where I touched base with the fact that when you want something for yourself, don't apologize. Don't ask for permission.
So what happened to your husband when you turned from Vittoria to Angelina
Well,
Jolie?
you know,
I guess
a friend of mine actually gave me a definition that in Italian sounds like liberata, and that means freed woman.
And
she said,
woman,
because she knew me before and she knew me after, and she said, Vittoria, you are a liberata, you are a freed woman, you know, in whatever you're doing. And I said, yes, this is the name. And my husband every time jokes and said, oh my God, since you are a liberata, it's impossible to live with you.
So his life got better.
Yes. So it's actually, you know, I feel like I can breathe in the world. I can be myself in the world, and I can do things just because it's what I want, is what I'm dreaming.
Therefore, you can.
And therefore, I can.
I love that. So one of the clients, I'm used to doing webinars for my business. One of our wonderful attendees said that, do you think there is a gender influence on guilt? Now, speaking as a good Indian woman, I would say that women own it. But I mean, I don't know if you guys.
I think we are the flag owner of guilt.
But
there are men who are pretty good in that too. Yeah.
So it's not. Thank you. That's so brilliant. Let me. Somebody's asking if we're going to share the recorded version. Yes, we are recording, and we will share that. Vittoria, I love that. Thank you. We have.
I just want to give you my definition of resilience you asked. And for me is this growing capacity to regain health and equilibrium based on our spirit, mind, and body. So it's like life knock you down from now and then, right? And so you go back to balance. And it's not really just jumping back. It's really learning how to get resources so that you can do that. Learning which are the signs that start to tell me, you know, you are getting low in emotion, or your emotional level is off balance. You need something. And be alert on that. Exercise your own self-perception. What do you need? Ask for it. Go and find the people that can fulfill that.
I don't want to tell you my story anymore because that sounds really intelligent. I like all that. That all sounds really good. So yeah, and thank you. I really appreciate that, Vittoria. It was fascinating. Hayden has just, for those of you that have just joined us, please, we are obviously speaking during the Coachathon on behalf of the Microloan Foundation. My name is Geeta Sidhu-Robb. This is amazing Nadine and Vittoria. And what I would love you to do, if you could, if anything here has touched you, has made you feel that it's interesting, before I get to my bit, please, please, please feel free to donate. We are doing this in order to raise funds for microloan for women to set up their own businesses, the poorest women in the world. And small 25, 30 pounds enables a woman to set up a business and take her and her family out of poverty. If you give 30 pounds to microloan, 30, 40 pounds to microloan, a woman can set up a business and an average of 4 children will be clothed, educated, and fed. And that is a phenomenal way to spend 30 pounds, 10 pounds. You can even give us 5 pounds and we will be very, very grateful. And so far during Coachathon, we raised, as of this morning, 10,000 pounds from 25 pound donations. And so we are deeply grateful and we hope that you will continue to support us. And the link is in the chat thing, microloanfoundation.org.uk/donate. So thank you. So yeah, I'm listening to Vittoria and I'm kind of like, so my one of the reasons I'm sharing this is because I also have a story of resilience, which has been widely covered in the press for better or for worse. But in 2004, I picked up my children and walked out on my very, very big £8.5 million house, and my 3 children were under the age of 7. And so one was 7, one was, they keep telling me I say it wrong. One was 7, one was 3, one was 1. I mean, I knew we had nappies, you know. And I remember standing on the street with my 3 kids and nappies and saying, I can't go back, I can't go back. The difference with you ladies and me was that I didn't have any support. I had just walked out on an unpleasant marriage. My mother was like, you're clearly stupid because you're Indian and you've left all that money, go get it. And I was like, no, it's okay. I'll go. And, you know, we had built a business up together. I'm like, I'll get it in the court and I'll do whatever. And I went to stay the night with a girlfriend, and she gave us a room, and the 2 children slept on the bed, and one was in her little cot on the floor, and I was on little sofa cushions on the floor. And I had £200, and I stayed there for the next 6 months. I spent 6 months sleeping on that floor. I lost everything. I didn't have anything. I couldn't get anything out of the courts. I wasn't, because I was working as a lawyer, and then I lost my job because it's really hard to sleep on the floor and keep a job going. And it was a really interesting experience because I, you know, when you say things like this, I think people find it very hard to believe when you look like we look and we are the people that we are, that these things have happened to us. But I was there, I was a lawyer, I was in this amazing house, and I had 3 houses and 10 cars and, you know, everything. And the thing that was interesting was that for me, being Indian, I had been trained to be a good girl. I had been taught how I had to behave. I was carrying my flag. I had it tattooed on my bum that you are meant to be guilty and you will feel ashamed if you ever want to do anything.
Hear you.
That is not normal and is not acceptable through society, through culture, through life, through everything. And I had always tried to do the right thing. And I remember coming to a moment and I thought, you know, I will not do this anymore. I will not. Anything is better than being here. And I remember waiting to that moment because I thought that when I was at the place where anything was better than being here, then I knew I wouldn't come back, because I knew if I came back, it would be worse. So I left. And I ended up there without the career I had spent a decade building, without any family support, with my girlfriend who did help me, but without a tribe. Because, you know, when you fall off the end of the earth and you leave your husband and you're there with your children, people think it's catching. They think it's a little bit contagious. So people avoid you a little bit because, you know, they might catch whatever it is going on. And we rebuilt our life from that. And it was, I remember being there and having £4 and having £10 and having, you know, coming from spending £1,000 on a bottle of wine to having £4 and thinking, how do we eat today? And you can't go to your girlfriend and say, can you give me money for food? Because she's already giving you a roof over her head. And her husband was very unhappy with us being there. So I would just be a bit like this. But because, you know, why the hell does he want some woman and her 3 children living in his house? I completely see his point, but that's where we were. And I grew up in a very wealthy family as well. And so when I came to this place and I was poor and I was alone and I was defenseless, and it is the most incredible experience to be in this place and to have to come out of it, because when you fall off the end of the earth, you have to rebuild who you are, because the person that you were before does not suit the circumstances that you are in today. So you have to rebuild. And I had to understand who I was before I could get the confidence to be who I was. And then to go forward in a place where every single person that I was related to or married and unmarried to was just like, are you insane? Go back, go back. It's so easy. Why would you give that up? Go back. And I knew that if I went back, I would die. But I would have died like maybe getting cancer. I would have died because I would have found a place to kill myself because I couldn't bear it, because I wasn't showing up in life. And it's so interesting now when I look at the pandemic, when people are losing their jobs, when they're losing their lives, when they're losing their houses. Because I remember thinking, I have nothing, and this is never going to happen to me again. And so I used to have a book, and I had a page in the book, and then I would draw a line down the middle, and I would write on here, because I didn't know how I was going to get better, right? I didn't know how to earn money. I didn't know who to turn to. I just had nothing. And I would write on this side, things I'm going to do today. And then I would write on this side, things the universe is going to do for me today. Because I didn't know how to do them.
Wow,
I didn't know how to make money.
Brilliant.
I didn't know how to eat. I don't even know how to tell you. I mean, I need you to clearly, I had 2 pairs of shoes for 6 months, and I had nothing. There is a certain liberation in having nothing. There's not much washing. And trying to explain to your children, what happened to their life, and trying to understand that guilt is that you are there because their life will be better after what you've done. Because you are only ever as happy as your unhappiest child, right? This is a reality. And for me, resilience became faith. And resilience is what I teach again to people today. Resilience is faith. But when I started, my faith was narrow because my faith was only in myself. I had nowhere to turn. My faith was only in myself, and that's what I had. And then as I got bigger and I got stronger and I got more confident, my faith became a faith in the universe, because as the things in my list began to be delivered to me, I was like, shit, this stuff works. There is something out there. And then my faith began that. And then when I moved and evolved even more, it became the faith of my space within the universe. And ultimately, that was the full circle. So I started with me, I joined the world, and then I realized that I am my world. And I teach everybody that today, where resilience is what comes from within. That is it. There's nothing from without that can change. And I understand this clearly now, because I have still not lived a boring life. I realize that actually how I feel about me is what matters. What I do for me is what matters. And how I show up is what I can offer. And that is the most that I can offer. And that is my definition of resilience.
Talking about your definition of resilience, I will share with you my favorite quote. What lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are but tiny little matters compared to what lies within us. When I felt sick, I had forgotten that. I completely forgot that, although I knew that from when I teenager years, and this said, that's how I'm going to live. And then I got totally disconnected with that. And I had to go back to that and realize this is it. You have to go within. You have to really go within. It's beautiful.
And what's really important that I've learned, which I would like to people to remember to take away, is that if you look at what Vittoria and Nadine are talking about, and what I'm saying is, we're talking about power, actually. Resilience. I'm a very powerful woman. And I love that about me. I really love that about me. And if you listen to Vittoria taking over the bloody desert and Nadine taking over, illnesses, there is a sense of power that lies within you. And when you can tap that, you are power and you become more powerful. And that's where resilience comes from on every level. Sorry, Vittoria, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, I just want to build on what you just said. And it's power, and it's not a power to impose. It's power to be your best expression. And when you do that, you're actually giving permission to others to do the same. And
exactly.
That's what really excites me.
Yeah.
Right. It's when I remember when we were walking in the Danakil desert, there are sometimes some group of people living in this bloody hot desert, and they are so resilient, so strong. And the little girls were looking at us and with this curiosity and thinking, wow, there is something else in life. And you know that in that moment you have created the seed for something else in their mind, wanting something more than just fetching water and serving the community. There is more that you are sharing when you get in touch with what you can achieve yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a huge shift. It's accepting your own power, your own brilliance, because by doing that, we are all much better in the world.
Completely, because the thing is that when you can do and when you can be seen, I'm always conscious that there are very few, and I'm sure with Nadine, with you as well, I'm always conscious there are very few Asian women that are front and center doing things in the West. I'm always conscious of that. And if I'm going to be that person, I'm always going to push and see if I can do that. And if I can do more, and I can be more. Because if I can, and you can look at me and think you can do it, you know, that's a life worth living. Because if you, the thing is that you build confidence in order to become powerful, in order to activate your voice and to have impact.
Absolutely.
And if you can do those things, that's
and for me, yeah, and for me is also the separation from this, from the roles. It doesn't mean you are in charge of things. It doesn't mean you are superior to others. You can be in power in your prayers. You are in power when you connect with your soul. That's for me is power.
The alignment is what gives you that sense of power.
Right. Yeah.
And following on what you said about your role, I want to share also another story that I have. Just around 2 years ago, I was in corporate life for around 16 years, and then I was enjoying it. I learned so much from corporate life. And then there was a restructure. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, you're gonna let me go? You don't appreciate me? And I went into that dark place again, the glass half empty, and you know, all of a sudden going down into a depression again. And then what woke me up was I'm losing my best friend. She died of cancer.
Oh no.
So I said, okay, Nadine, wake up. What are you doing? You're suddenly all depressed and everything is going wrong. And then I started to realize that I was identifying Nadine as the manager in the corporate, that I was identifying myself with the role. And that's a problem that we tend to do. And we need to really disconnect, because you are who you are.
Have it all taken away. That's fairly effective too.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many roles that you are playing, and in each phase of our life, the contribution of that role in your life will change. So even as we are mothers right now and our kids grow older, at one point in time, our role as a mother is going to really shrink. It's not like it was, 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So you really need to understand, don't identify your person with the role. There has to be that disconnect.
I think it's a lot of, I think we're very lucky though, that when you can learn these lessons, there is so much, I think we're lucky to have learned these lessons, because the things that when you can look back and see the blessing, as you said, right at the beginning, yes, in what has happened, then that is the benefit of why it happened, because it came about. I remember somebody saying to me, when I could think of my ex and not need a hitman, that I would have moved really far. And I'm like, I would like to point out that I don't always think of a hitman when I think of my ex. So I'd say that was a hugely positive step. I'd just like to ask, do any of the attendees have any questions you'd like to share with us? Because I know that we're coming towards the end of our time. And if anybody has any questions that you do have, please just put them in the chat. What would you ladies like to finish with? Go for it, Nadine.
I have one thing that I would like to share, that only in 2019, I attended the Make a Difference Summit in London, talking about mental health and well-being. And that's when I realized that what I had 12 years ago was anxiety and depression. Before I fell sick, I never knew that, and even the support that I had around me, nobody identified it. It was just saying, "Oh, you're being negative," But I was actually depressed and anxious. And if I had known, and if I had the correct support, things wouldn't have gone so toxic, and my body wasn't going to go into that. So that's very important for us to really take care of our mental health, and to give support to everybody, and to ask each day, everybody, how are you doing? And really,
and listen to the answer.
And don't give an okay, don't give a generous, say how you feel. That's very important.
So Vittoria, just before that, thank you for that, Nadine. There are still some coaching sessions available, because Hayden, bless him, is in the background there, keeping us all honest. So if you want to book a coaching session, I don't know if I have any left or if we all have any left, please go through.
One.
You have one. And maybe if you email us, we might give you a couple more. I added to my list this morning, but go to the link in the chat. I'm not reading it out because it's too long, but look at the link in the chat. Okay, go for it, Vittoria. What is your final learning?
Put your attention where you want to grow and where is your aliveness. Where you put your attention the energy is going to flow. So don't stop with the obstacles. This time is very challenging, the pandemic. We talked about roles. So we are mothers and professionals and cookers, and everything is collapsing together.
Yes.
Put your attention on what you enjoy. Keep looking at that, because I think it's so powerful. Attention is the currency of the brain. So it's really how we work. And if we focus on that, we can be much more resilient. We are feeding our soul, mind, and body.
Thank you. So there's, and I'll close up here. There is a question from Facebook which says, how can you nurture your resilience? And I will finish with saying that for me, what I teach, what I believe, what I live, is that whatever you resist will persist. So that if I always go for the thing where I'm the most scared, I go for the thing where I'm the most, with my clients as well, where are you the most worried? Where is the bit that's not working? Because if you're trying to grow a business, if you're trying to grow a life, if you're trying to have a successful marriage, if you're just trying to be a successful human being, whatever that definition of it is for you, if you can get rid of the obstacles that prevent you moving, usually they are fear-based, but if you can move past those, and those are the things that need clearing, and they honestly take much less time and effort than you think, because if you can look at what is at the core of it, you can usually allow it to go and release it. So you nurture resilience by understanding where you're blocked, because when you can see it, it's not blocked anymore, because you can then let go of it. So thank you so much. And
thank
Nadine,
you.
Vittoria.
I would like to add, since I'm a marketeer, and I'm going to tell you 7 P's. I'm going to leave you with 7 P's, and they're not the marketing 4 P's, 6 P's. It's basically positivity, peace, power, perseverance, purpose, patience, and prayer. This is what you need. I think I got them all. Peace, positivity, perseverance, patience, purpose, prayer, power. That's how you need it. And go get them. Whatever you really, be careful what you think, because it can happen. So stay positive, you're going to have a positive life. Stay negative, you're going to have a negative life. Stay away from complaining and whining and being a victim and blaming, because when you point to somebody, you're actually pointing 1 finger to that person and 3 at yourself. So take
Amazing.
care of
Thank you, Nadine. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time. Vittoria, thank you so much.
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you, Nadine, for sharing.
Terrifying me with like deserts and things, like,
thank you.
Like, where's my tank to go down this desert? And thank you all. Hayden, thank you so much for helping in the back end, for keeping this going. The Microloan Foundation team are utterly phenomenal. I'd like to thank them very much for all the work they've done, and Sandra for all the work the WLA has done and putting on the Coachathon, and the attendees. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining us, giving up your time. You can, yes, I'm really, so thank you very much. If you would like to contribute, please feel free to go to Microloan and make a donation, and we would really, really appreciate it.